This is Steve Young for the Co-Roundtable. I want to bring to your attention an investigative report done recently by the Wall Street Journal on the intersection for personal profit between government position, acquiring information about companies in that position, and using that information to trade on the stock market and make yourself wealthy. This is a small instance of what is a general case across humanity of what is called crony capitalism, corruption, rent extraction, rent seeking, abuse of power. Now, the Co-Roundtable has taken the position, and we think this is true for most of the wisdom traditions out there, that there's something different in public office than private property. If it's private property, if it's your money, if it's your house, if it's your land, if it's your company, you're kind of free to go out and take risks and do the best you can to make money. But that government job, President of the United States, policeman, sergeant in a village in Africa or Latin America, that public position is not your private property. You are there with an office. And the idea of office, going way, way back, is to serve beneficiaries. You're a trustee. You hold a public trust. You have duties and obligations to put others before your self-interest. Now that can be tough because in most countries of the world, they don't pay policemen very much. And if you're a minister of the economy or the treasury in a lot of countries, you have authority with your pen to sign off on a deal which is going to make somebody a lot of money. And your salary isn't very much. And they can give your wife some very nice presents. So what do? Do you sign off and let them have this monopoly deal? Or do you put it out for public bid? In the United States, I want to read this to you because I'm very embarrassed about this. Federal officials working on the government response to COVID-19 made well-timed financial trades when the pandemic began, both as the markets plunged and as they rallied. In January 2020, the US public was largely unaware of the threat posed by the virus spreading in China, but health officials were on a high alert and girding for a crisis. Now, these officials had been hired and they were being paid to serve the best interests of the American people. A deputy to top health official Anthony Fauci reported 10 sales of mutual funds and stocks totaling between 157,000 US dollars and 480,000 US dollars in the month of January 2020. Now, how does a federal official have enough money to buy stocks, $157,000, $480,000? It just, boggles the mind, at least my mind. Collectively, officials at another health agency, Health and Human Services, reported 60% more sales of stocks and funds in January than the average over the previous 12 months, driven by a handful of particularly active traders. By March, agencies across the government were working on wide-reaching measures to prop the economy and markets. Then Transportation Secretary Elaine Chao purchased more than $600,000 in 2 stock funds while her agency was involved in the pandemic response. And her husband, Senator Mitch McConnell, was leading negotiations over a giant market-boosting stimulus bill. And as the government was devising a loan package aimed specifically at helping companies, including Boeing and General Electric, a Treasury Department official involved in administering the aid bought shares in both companies. Federal officials owned millions of dollars of stock in the industries most affected by the pandemic and the government's response. About 240 officials at health agencies and at the Pentagon, a key player in the vaccine rollout, reported owning a total of between 9 million and 28 million in stocks of drug manufacturing and biotechnology companies that won federal contracts related to COVID-19 in 2020 and 2021. Now, what are we to do about this? There is a rule, and I think citizens could bring a lawsuit. There's a rule in fiduciary standards that if you exploit for personal gain a position of trust, you have to disgorge, you have to pay back all the profits you have made in that. So I would think that, and I think could be a citizen lawsuit, should go after all these officials and ask them to disgorge their profits.